Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Porn and Capitalism. What a week. What a crazy fucking week. Doesn't matter what you're into. Crazy week with cancel culture, with cryptocurrency, and with other C words. Just C words in general. You know what I'm saying? What a crazy week. Now, obviously, I got to talk about what happened in stand-up comedy. If you follow stand-up comedy, if you are a stand-up comedian, you don't know about the Tony Hinchcliffe-Peng Dang controversy, you got to go look it up. So what happened was I believe a week ago, actually, for the Secret Show, Thursday night show, Peng Dang, who is a Chinese comedian based out of Dallas, shout out DFW, he did a set at the Vulcan Gas Company and brought up Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe said a racial slur about Peng Dang being a Chinese person, said a Chinese slur. And a video came out showing this, and obviously it's 2021. Everyone was like, we got to cancel Tony Hinchcliffe. He's racist. He hates Asians. We got to stop Asian hate, right? And I'm not all about, I don't think we should hate anybody, but I think one of the things that's getting overlooked in this entire saga is, do you post a video as a comedian? Do you post a video of another comedian and what they did on stage? Now, I understand the standpoint of, well, he was being racist towards me. Why don't I have the right to post that? Fair point. But on the other hand, you got to look at it like, he's a comedian. I'm a comedian. You're a comedian. We're comedians, right? He's trying to be funny. Now, maybe Peng didn't think he was trying to be funny. I think that might be part of it. Maybe he was just like, I don't even think he was trying to make a joke. I just think he was trying to be racist. Maybe that's how Peng looked at it. And Peng was like, and here's the thing. I don't know either of them that well. I've met both of them. I've spoken briefly with both of them, both Peng and Tony Hinchcliffe. Peng, like I said, DFW comedian. I when I was up in Dallas, I'd see him at mics here and there, fist bumps, blah, blah, blah. I never worked with the guy, but I met him a couple times. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Tony Hinchcliffe, same thing. Never worked with him. Met him a couple times. He's given my girlfriend Genevieve tons of opportunities. And she's a black woman, so, if you want to talk racism, he has helped out comedians who are not, all white guys. I know real racist people. That's the thing. I know real racist people, and real racist people would never do anything to further anyone's career that doesn't look like fucking me. You know what I'm saying? So when you want to talk about real racism, I don't think Tony Hinchcliffe is really a racist individual. I think he's he's an insult comic, right? He's a roast comic. Were those the best roast jokes he's ever written? I don't know. I haven't seen all of his material. I don't know. I think the big thing was, like, especially now it's Asian Heritage Month, and, Stop Asian Hate is a big movement. So everyone was like, this is the bad timing for it. My thing, though, is this should never have been released. That's my stance. My stance is this should never have been released. This should have been handled between the two of them. They should have worked it out as men, as comedians, as entertainers, as colleagues. But throwing it up on the internet, I don't think is the mature way to handle it. So if you just want to throw shit on the internet, you can do that. But I don't think that's the mature way to handle things. Now, it's possible that, if after the show Peng would have gone up to him and been like, hey man, I don't like what you said. I was offended by it. It's possible Tony could have just been like, go fuck yourself. Different story if that's what happens. But as far as I know, that's not what happened. And it's just a thing about, like, how we handle situations in this country nowadays. That's what you do. You throw shit online. You hope you can get some clout and maybe some views and this and that. And everyone, everyone's a big fan all of a sudden, I just don't know if that's the best career move. And some people are looking at this like, wow, how can you even think about a career when racism is on the line? Bro, I mean, real racism against Asian people happened a couple months ago when real Asians got really shot by real guns and really died. This was comedy. Now, you can be like, well, it wasn't funny. Okay, well, don't fucking watch it then. Like, what the fuck? If you don't like it, don't laugh, don't watch it, don't follow him, don't support him. You know, now he got dropped by his management and, got taken off some gigs. But I think at the end of the day, he'll probably come back. I mean, Louis C.K. came back and he, whatever Louis C.K. did. I mean, I'm sure Michael Richards is working, I'm sure Michael Richards is out there doing gigs. You know what I'm saying? Just guessing. I don't know. And the other thing is like the Michael Richards thing, it just got released, right? Somebody in the audience filmed it. It's just some random. In this situation, the comedian who was offended, Pong, waited like 4 days, edited the video, and that's where I really have a problem. You edited the video. You added production quality to make Tony Hinchcliffe look worse. Right? I think we all agree it looked bad already. If you'd have just played the 5 seconds where he said the racial slur, it would have been bad enough. But adding production quality to that shit, it's like, I've gone down some conspiracy rabbit holes on this thing. Was this whole thing orchestrated by the Chinese government? I don't know. I'm just saying, I've talked to some people who maybe thought that, and they maybe showed me some evidence that made me think, hey, I don't think this is totally unfounded. Who knows? I don't know. My side of it is, you know what, dude? I think they're both wrong. I think both of them made the wrong decision, right? I think both of them fucked up. I think this is still something that could be handled between the two of them, right? I don't know if Tony has called Pong. I don't know if Pong's called Tony. I don't know what's been happening. All I know is it's getting a lot of traction. Ari Shaffir went online and was like, bro, here's a full video. So you can see it. Not if you go on Ari Shaffir's channel, you can watch all of Pong's set. He did about 10 minutes, and then all of Tony's set, and I think he did about 15 minutes. So it's about a 25-minute video, no editing, just straight shot. Here are the sets. And Tony Hinchcliffe is calling back to some of Pong's bits. People are like, oh, he's just doing an Asian accent. He's just doing, when he's doing the Asian accent, that alone, he's just doing that to be a hack. It's like, no, he was actually calling back to some of his jokes, not defending, calling him a chink. But I'm saying that part, when he's talking about the soy sauce and this, he's actually calling back to bits. And now you can see that. Now, again, I still think the biggest problem is that this was handled online. This should have been handled in person, baby. That's what fucking, I don't know, man. It's just frustrating. I think a lot of people were just like, we just need to cancel. Oh my God, this is cancel. Everybody cancel everybody. And, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know what the move, other than talking to him in person, like, I don't know, man. Everybody's got their own life. Everybody makes their own decisions. But a lot of people outside of Tony Hinchcliffe and Peng Dang, a lot of people use this as an opportunity to get likes. I'm going to retweet my support one way or the other just to get a bunch of likes. I'm going to address this even though I have no idea what I'm talking about just to get likes. I'm going to shit on someone who everyone's already shitting on because I want likes. Nobody gives a fuck what you think. You want likes, and that's great. Go get your likes. Fine. Who cares? Go get your likes. Obviously, I care. It's just fucking like, dude, there's more to life than getting likes on a tweet. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to understand. There's more to it than a retweet. There's more to it than a blue check mark retweeting your account. But, that some people, that's all they give a shit about. Well, you got a blue check mark, so my life is good. So much more to life than that, man. So much more to life than, than trying to fuck over other people. I think that's what bothered me the most is like he's literally trying to fuck him over. And that's not, I don't know. I don't think that's cool. As a comedian, I'm like, dude, why would you do that, man? There's other ways to go about it. In the heat of the moment, here's the other thing, and I was talking about this earlier. If in the heat of the moment, like if you would have just posted that clip the night it happened, like in the heat of your anger and all of this, different story, right? Because you're like, dude, just happened to me. I'm fucking pissed. Fuck this. Fuck. And you just send it out, right? It would have gone viral, right? Didn't need to add production quality. But when you wait 4 days, you consult people. Hey, should I post this? And they say no, and you're like, I'm going to do it anyway. And you add text to it like it's an Andrew Schultz video, and you speed up the part where he's saying hi to the crowd. What you do is you decrease the time. You increase you decrease, the proximity between you, an Asian person being on stage, and him saying that thing. You made it look worse than it was. That being said, it was bad. And that's the nuance of the situation. People don't want to talk about nuance, man. Nuance is very hard for people to understand. You know, it's all absolutes. He's either a racist or just a free-talking comedian, right? And there's no in-between. It's not. And the truth of the matter is there is an in-between. They're both comedians, right? He did a joke when you watch the Ari Shaffir version where you see the full set. He does a joke about, he's like, Chinese people have the worst sense of humor of all the Asians. And unfortunately, in this scenario, Peng is proving that. Unfortunately, again, I don't know either of these guys extremely well. I have met both of them. Had brief interactions with both of them. They seemed fine. They seem like fine individuals. But again, I don't know either of them that well. So when I'm saying these things, I'm not like, dude, I fucking know this person so well. But I'm like, I'm a comic. I understand what happened. And, you think about it, it's like, how would it have gone differently if I were one of the comedians, right? I mean, I get called Nazi all the time. Nobody gives a fuck. No sympathy on that. There's no Stop German Hate movement. Unfortunately. No Stop German Hate movement. No one gives a fuck. Cry about it. Yeah, no one cares. But it's manifested itself into a bigger situation than it should have been. I unfortunately, I think this is going to hurt Peng more than it's going to hurt Tony Hinchcliffe. And it's already hurt Tony Hinchcliffe. Like I said, he's been dropped off shows, and management company dropped him, and a lot of negative things, a lot of things where you're like, that's not what I was hoping for right there. It's a really unfortunate situation, and you hope down the line that they can make it up and move forward and become better individuals, right? But right now, you've essentially divided the comedy scene into one person's going to take one side, one person's going to take the other side. Isn't it fun? Ain't that the best when you polarize people? Just divide them down the middle. Divide and conquer. Back to my Chinese conspiracy theory. I totally could see it happening. I don't know. That being said, I mean, they're still doing shows. Austin Comedy didn't stop. I did a show tonight. Hey-o. But I mean, and the other thing is, outside of comedy, nobody gives a shit. You talk to someone who's not a comedian, you're like, did you hear about the Tony Hinchcliffe thing? And they're like, I don't know who that is. And they're like, oh, he used a racial slur against a Chinese comedian. He's like, oh. People are like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I'm worried about the gas shortage. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many people are not giving a shit because they don't care about stand-up comedy. But when you work in the industry, when it's your shit, this is your livelihood, this is what you do day in, day out, every single night, it's easy to get caught up in it. Especially when it's people that you know a little bit, right? You've met them, you've fist bumped them, right? You've talked to them briefly. Like, it's easy to get caught up in that, but then you realize you're like, there's so much more going on in life. We're over here worrying about one comedian using a racial slur against another comedian. Meanwhile, people in Palestine are getting murdered. And everyone's like, oh, can you believe Tony Hinchcliffe? Can you believe fucking Israel and Palestine? Can you believe we didn't fix that problem? Yeah. How about stop bombing Palestinians, huh? How about that for a stop Asian hate movement? They're Asian, right? Palestinians? Are they not? I don't even know who's Asian anymore. I don't even know who counts as Asian. I know Asians count as Asians, but Like outside of Asians, who else counts as Asians? You know what I mean? And it didn't make sense, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like brown Asians, like Indians, Palestinians. They're not Europeans. Middle East is not a continent, so what the fuck are they? They're Asians, right? They're fucking Asians. Stop hating Asians, you Jews. Like, you know what I'm saying? Come on. What are you going to do? It's just crazy. And the funny thing is, you know, outside of comedy, outside of, you know, the little small bubble of Austin, Texas, so many things are going on in the world. And, you know, you can really just get caught up in some meaningless bullshit at the end of the day. You know, people can talk about like, you know, it's important. You need to stop Asian hate. You need to stop all this racist rhetoric that's being spewed on stages. And I'm like, is that the most important thing right now? Like how much, I know I've devoted far too much energy to the whole thing, but how much energy is getting spent on trying to cancel a comedian, you know, trying to retaliate against Pong, right? Because there's a lot of comedians who are now trying to throw shit at Pong. How much energy is being spent on that while, you know, this country is fucked, basically, right? Like the East Coast has a gas shortage. The West Coast is going to fall into the ocean soon and be taken over by China. They're going to create an underwater Atlantis. Again, conspiracy. And everyone in Texas is just like, can you believe he said the C word? And I'm like, I don't know which C word we're even talking about anymore. Cunt or chink? What are we talking about? Nobody even knows. Everything's this word. Chink needs to be CH word, the CH word, not the C word, because that's cunt. And it's like, well, I don't know which word you're talking about. And it's like, well, just don't say any of them. Just don't say any of them. So just don't say any of them. I have to be a clean comic constantly. Like I think it's over the line. And I mean, it's censorship and it's all this bullshit. Meanwhile, you know, China is sterilizing Uyghur women to, you know, try and curb the population of Muslims in their country. And we're worried about a Chinese comic being called chink. Like, seriously, that's what we're spending our fucking time on. Well, you know, it's problematic the way comedians use their language in their platform to spew racism. And it's like, people are dying. Chinese people are dying. Oh, because they're Muslim, they don't matter. Okay, well, I think there's a lot of anti-Muslim, I guess, between Uyghurs and Palestinians. It's like, it's kind of like the country doesn't give a shit about them anymore. I don't know. Doesn't it seem weird? I don't know. And there's a border crisis, gas shortage. You know, everything's going to shit, including Bitcoin took a big shit this weekend, talking about the C word, cryptocurrency. I'm still not into Dogecoin. I do not have any Dogecoin, but I do have some Bitcoin. I actually bought the dip. How you doing? Always buy the dip. Not investing advice, but always buy the fucking dip. Dip, I dip, you dip, buy the fucking dip. Shout out Danny Brown, Austin resident. What up, though? Detroit. I'm repping today. I got my fucking Tigers jersey on. I got the hat, baby. We're doing it. They lost today to the Cubs. Fuck you. Whatever. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, man? I don't know. Like I said, I just think there's it's interesting to talk about. It's fun to talk about, ooh, a canceled comedian and ooh, you know, a racial slur being levied against another comic. It's a lot of attention that's being diverted away from more important shit. Speaking of the C word, the CDC announced that if you are fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask when you're outside. Wow. Thanks, CDC. I'm going to listen to you now. It's just, you can tell it's turned into such bullshit on the COVID stuff where, yes, it's a real virus. Yes, people died from it. Yes, you know, certain populations, it's more imperative that they be vaccinated than the other ones. But then Joe Biden comes out and he says, the choice is yours. Either get vaccinated or wear a mask. It's like, there's other options there, you know, kind of like I don't get vaccinated and I don't get a shot. How about that? How about I don't do that? What about that? The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't want the vaccine on principle. It's not even like, you don't trust the medicine? You don't trust the science? I don't really trust the medical companies. I don't know. I just watched that HBO documentary about opium and I was like, Pfizer? Yeah, I don't know if I trust them. Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, yeah, I don't know if I trust these fucking guys. Why the fuck would I trust them now? You know what I mean? Like, why? It's just hilarious to me that people are like, dude, you gotta trust these pharmaceutical companies. They want what's best for you. I'm like, weren't you a Bernie supporter? And they're like, I love Bernie Sanders. Didn't Bernie talk about how the big pharmaceutical companies are fucking evil? Didn't he talk about that? Yeah, they are. They're evil. The big pharmaceutical companies are evil. Oh, but you're going to get the vaccine. Yep. Okay, you do that. Because here's the thing. I think the pharmaceutical companies are evil. So I am not going to get the shot because I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. You don't trust science? No, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. You think science is fake? No, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. Like, it's very simple. Pharmaceutical companies do not have, unfortunately, they do not have the level of integrity that you would expect from medical professionals. Like your doctor, for example, right? Your doctor, you're like, dude, this is my doctor. This guy or girl has my best interest in mind. You expect that same thing from a pharmaceutical company because you think of them as healthcare. But then, and again, this is a pro-capitalism podcast, but when you start having the incentive to make money, right? Everything's going to be directed towards how do we make money, right? And that's where it's important to have certain regulations in place, certain, not too many, certain regulations in place to ensure that the pharmaceutical companies are not starting an opium epidemic, for example, right? But the problem is the politicians, Democrats and Republicans, by the way, are bought and paid for, right? And that, to me, is where capitalism and government and free business and all these things kind of get thrown out, and it turns into basically an oligarchy. And I've talked about this before. Oligarchies are, unfortunately, they are one of the negative externalities that can occur if you have a capitalist system that isn't run properly. Fortunately, you don't have certain issues. Like if you have a communist country, you have other issues when it's not run properly. And, you know, the people who make the argument communism's never been implemented properly, and I respond capitalism's never been implemented properly. Well, guess what? I think we can all come to the conclusion humans are not going to properly implement shit. We don't read directions. We don't give a fuck. We want quick results. We're lazy. We're not that smart. We have a short fucking attention span, and it's getting shorter. So it doesn't matter what system you implement, it will be implemented incorrectly. So now it basically comes down to, okay, if we know the system's going to be implemented incorrectly, how can we make sure the negative externalities are not so bad that everybody fucking dies? And unfortunately, with communism, call it unfortunate, whatever. In communism, one of the negative externalities that typically takes place is famine leading to death. In the United States, in capitalism, unfortunately, one of the negative externalities is large corporations have too much influence over the policies that are supposed to keep them in check. And in this scenario, this has led to the death of, hundreds of thousands of Americans from opioids. And, another scenario here where if true capitalism, free market, laissez-faire to an extent, were allowed to be implemented, you would have legal marijuana, which would, be a very viable alternative option to, what they call pain management. Pain management was this new thing that the drug companies actually started marketing so that doctors were like, dude, I need to buy this fucking medicine. I need to buy this shit. I need to get my my patients to take these fucking opioids so that they can manage their pain. I don't want my patient in pain. Nobody wants anybody to be in pain. But guess what? Pain is part of life. Smoke some weed about it, okay? That's what I'm saying. And if crony capitalism and bad government hadn't had this 100-year prohibition on marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, weed, pot, if they hadn't had this prohibition on it, the opium epidemic the opioid epidemic, would not have been what it was. It's just a fact, man. People would have reverted to using marijuana to cure, to deal with their pain, to manage their pain, more so than they would have just all used opioids. Everyone was prescribed opioids. And the crazy thing about it is, it wasn't just the drug company. It was the distributors. It was the pharmacies, pharmacists, doctors themselves. You're like, dude, these people are pushing the fucking pills, man. And the crazy thing is when they started talking about fentanyl. I was like, oh, this is next level. Because I feel like the opioid stuff, everybody kind of knew it. It's like, okay, yeah, they were pushing opioids. They were pushing Oxycontin, all this stuff. And then part 2 comes. In part 2, they're like, okay, now let's get into the lethal shit. Oxycontin, pretty strong. Let's get into fentanyl. And they talk about how the first fentanyl was shit you would spray it under your tongue. And you would spray fentanyl under your tongue. I'm like, what the fuck kind of drug dealer shit is this? Just spray it into your tongue? What are we talking about? And it's like, yeah, just do some fentanyl, bro. The whole time I was watching it, by the way, I was like, they got to make one of these about Adderall. They really need to, because Adderall is, here's the thing. I don't think it kills as many people. I'm sure people die on Adderall, but compared to opioids, not the same thing. But so many people in this country, I think, are hooked on speed. And we need to talk about it. The whole country's on pills. You're either on speed, basically meth, or you're on opioids, basically heroin, fentanyl, right? Like you're doing one of those 2 drugs unless you're a pot smoker. And then there's like the 10% who don't do anything, who are just boring people, but whatever, they exist too. But there are so many millions of Americans who are hooked on some sort of fucking pill. And it's like, Jesus Christ, guys, can we get it under control? And, I'm not trying to be like, oh, we got to legalize it. But, I think if we did have legal marijuana, a lot of these things wouldn't be happening. Okay? Comedians wouldn't be canceling each other if marijuana was legal. I don't know. And I don't know if Pong smokes weed. I don't know if Tony smokes weed. I don't know if that would have made it different. If Tony had been high, would he have gotten up there and been, said the things that he said? If Pong had been high, would he have posted that video? I don't fucking know. Nobody knows. It's all speculation, but it's like, it's just interesting to think about, how different the world would be if everyone could just smoke weed legally. It'd be interesting because you wouldn't have the same problems. You would have other problems. Like I said, communism has its problems. Capitalism has its problems. Every system is imperfect. Every system is going to have negative externalities. Every system is going to have flaws. And no, going back to the Joe Biden mask thing, it's like no president's perfect. Joe Biden sucks, but no president's perfect, right? It's apparently people found out that Joe Biden has a secret Venmo, by the way, and people have been Venmo requesting him. Yeah, good fucking luck. Good luck. You think he runs that Venmo? You think he set that Venmo up? That's Hunter Biden, baby. Hunter Biden set that up so he could smoke crack, baby. That's what he does, man. Hunter Biden smoking the crack. He's smoking crack. I'm smoking crack. I'm smoking crack. I'm all smoking crack. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is about time for this week's Porn Star of the podcast. I'm pulling it up here. Excuse me. Deal with me for a second as I try to use my fucking iPhone 5. This thing is so fucking old at this point. Still running, though. Still kicking. She is still kicking here. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Give me a second. It's always fun to have a new porn star of the podcast. This is I don't know. We're about to find out how long she's been doing this, but this is a legend in my estimation. I think she's one of the hottest in the game right now. And we'll get into it here in just a second, and that is Demi Sutra. Give it up for Demi Sutra, this week's porn star of the podcast. That is right. Here we go. I'm just going to give you some overviews about her. Demi Sutra, she's a female born in Florida, Capricorn, 34B, 24 waist, 32-inch ass. 5 foot, 310 pounds. She's a fan of yoga, plants, dancing, meditation, and health, just overall health. Says she is single, into guys and girls, lives in Los Angeles. Her turn-ons, Demi Sutra's turn-ons include teasing, roleplay, and consent. There you go, guys. Consent is a turn-on. Turn-offs are douchebags, her ex-boyfriend, and littering. There you go, fellas. Don't litter. No need to litter. Absolutely no need to litter unless you're not interested in Demi Sutra. Then, you can go there. Now, she does have an OnlyFans as well. I'm going to plug that right now. Sending me to her official website, onlyfans.com. And what's the handle here? What is the handle for Demi Sutra? Here we go. It is at Demi Sutra. That's at DEMISUTRA, at Demi Sutra. She's doing a 60% off right now. $4 total for 30 days. That's a good deal right there. Subscription bundles. She's got some bundles here. 15% off. You get 3 months for $25, 6 months for $41.96, and you get a whole year for just under $60. So there you go. She's got 819 posts on there, so she looks pretty active. It says she's active right now, so I think that would be an OnlyFans maybe to check out. Let's check out her Twitter as well. She's got a Twitter if you want to check that out. Demi Sutra's Twitter. And she's one of those girls who, she came on the scene. I've seen her in a lot of different threesome videos. And she just I think she's a star in the making. That's me. At Demi Sutra on Twitter as well. At DEMISUTRA. That's Baby Demi. That's her name on Twitter. Baby Demi. Don't have more of a description here, unfortunately. She is ranked number 151. That's pretty high. We got a lot in the thousands here. Ranked number 151 on Pornhub. 156 million views, 98.1 thousand subscribers. Like I said, her description, it just says, your cutie pie slut bag. That's what it says. Your cutie pie slut bag. It's Demi Sutra, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of good content here on YouTube. Or excuse me, on Pornhub. YouTube. On YouTube. It's not allowed because you can't have porn on YouTube. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, that is Demi Sutra, this week's porn star of the podcast. It's a really interesting time. I say this pretty much every podcast. I'm like, isn't it an interesting time? It's never boring. Hasn't been dull. Since I've been down in Texas, it has not been dull. It has been nuts every single week. This week has been one of the most nuts, I'll be honest with you. Especially because Genevieve did a show with Tony Hinchcliffe on Saturday, and I was there. I did Kill Tony on Monday. Did I talk about that? I got up at Kill Tony. Maybe the last one ever. Who knows? The last Kill Tony. I got called. And I had my best set so far. My maybe second worst interview. It was a meh interview, but my set went better, which I was excited about. And then the next day, all this shit comes out. And that's kind of funny. And I know there are comics who are like, yeah, everybody's trying to ride Tony's dick to the top, and everybody's driving 500 hours to go do 1 minute stage time on Kill Tony. Yeah, because it's real exposure. When you start doing stand-up comedy, so many people are like, yeah, I can't pay you, but you'll get paid in exposure. People will see you. People who matter. It's like, it's so rare that you actually have an opportunity to perform in front of someone who can actually help your career. Most of the time, not happening. Just being honest. So the reason Kill Tony was such a big deal was because it did offer comedians the opportunity to get actual exposure to actual industry, a large online fan base, and it was up to you. It's pretty random chance. He's pulling names out of a bucket. He's doing what he can to try and help younger comedians. A lot of people were like, Tony made a career off shitting on young comedians. Okay, he shit on young comedians for sure. That's what comedians do. If you can't handle being shit on, don't be a comedian. Like, seriously. If you don't have thick skin, if you're a little whiny bitch, comedy might not be for you. Just being honest. If you can't handle a roast from Tony Hinchcliffe, comedy might not be for you. But with that same token, I know several comedians personally who have gotten real opportunities because of Kill Tony. Like it's really elevated their career. So, you know, everybody wants to talk about how negative and bad this guy is. And it's like, he has done more for young comics than a lot of people have. It's the same thing with the Kevin Hart thing. People brought up his old tweets. Oh, he's homophobic and this, that, and the other. Kevin Hart has done more to help out up-and-coming comedians than 99% of successful LA, Hollywood, New York, big-name comedians. Most of them, and it's not even their fault. It's not like once you make it in comedy, you have this obligation to help out younger people. I think it is part of the game, more so even than just in comedy. I think in life, you owe it to society to pass it forward, because somebody at some point helped you get to where you are. You can be that person for someone else. And in that vein, it's interesting because you look at the Peng Dang, Tony Hinchcliffe relationship, they had worked together before this. I'm pretty sure Peng had used Kill Tony as a credit, or, you know, opening for Tony Hinchcliffe as a credit. And outside of Peng, a lot of comedians in the past week, in the past 4 or 5 days, who a week ago, literally a week ago, would have been like, yeah, I've been on Kill Tony. You might have seen me on Kill Tony. You know, who would have used opening for Tony Hinchcliffe as a credit. Hundreds of comedians who would have used that as a credit a week ago, because that's all they had, this week are like, fuck him. What a racist piece of shit. You know, I think I have more respect for people who don't say anything. And I know I'm just talking shit right now, but I was like, I want to wait. I'm not going to take a big public stance until more information comes out, because, you know, it's so quick. It's so easy to be quick to judge. But I think that is, it's more difficult to hold on to your judgment, right? It's difficult because it's easy to rail off an opinion right away and, you know, just feel good about it in the moment. It's difficult to sit with your opinion by yourself, not getting any likes, no retweets, right? Just sit there, think about it, reflect on it. It's very difficult to do. That's why most people don't do it. Most people like to just, boom, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to be the number one most woke or most anti-woke or whatever. Everybody wants to go out there and just talk shit instantly. And it's difficult to, you know, hold on to your thoughts, reserve them, and try to talk about them meaningfully. It's tough to do. That's what I'm trying to do on this podcast. I'm trying to literally talk about my thoughts on the situation. Again, I think they're both wrong. I think they both fucked up. I think they both owe each other an apology. I really do. And some of you might be like, why the fuck does Peng owe Tony an apology? He broke a rule. Don't record other comic sets. I mean, you can say what you want about racial slurs, this, that, and the other. Within comedy, as a stand-up comedian, there is an unspoken, maybe it has to be spoken, but there is a rule that you do not film other comedian sets, and you definitely don't post them. And a big reason for that is joke thievery, right? You don't want that joke getting out. Maybe that's a new joke they're saving. Maybe they got a special coming. Maybe, who knows? But you just don't do it. And in this scenario, he's like, well, I needed to showcase how racist this guy was. Did you need to do that? I think that's the question. Did you need to do that? Were there other avenues that you could have approached? I think we all know that there were. And that's why I say I think Peng also owes Tony an apology, with the fact that Tony owes Peng an apology being taken already as given. That's given, right? I think the two owe each other an apology. I think what would be very interesting would be a podcast with the two of them talking about it, maybe moderated by Joe Rogan, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe moderated by Brett Weinstein. Who fucking cares? I don't know. But if you just have a discussion and a dialogue and you can maybe get to the bottom of this and figure it out, I think it can do more for the Stop Asian Hate movement. It can do more for free speech and comedy. And it can do less in terms of ruining both of their careers. Because right now, say what you want, this is not going to end up well for Peng. It's not. Nobody's going to want to book the guy who secretly recorded another comedian's set and put him on blast on Twitter. People aren't going to want to work with that. I hate to do this equivocation, but it's essentially like when a woman screams rape, whether or not it happened is not 100% known. Maybe there's a lot of ambiguity in the situation, but what's not ambiguous at all is the fact that that woman screamed rape and that she accused a man of rape, right? This is just a random scenario that I'm making up here. People are going to want to not deal with that woman because they're like, I don't want to get accused of rape. I don't even want to talk to that chick because she accused that guy of rape and I don't even know if he did anything. There doesn't seem to be hard evidence. It seems to be a he said, she said situation. It's the same thing right now, man. It's a he said, she said situation of, dude, nobody's going to want to work with you. And, you know, if you want to be like, well, I need to take the moral high ground and I need to say, hey, even if this ruins my own career, I need to expose the shit that Chinese comedians go through. Hey, man, dude, all comics go through shit. I came up doing black rooms in Detroit, being the only white guy in there. You think I ever got brought up on stage in a non-awesome way? You think I ever had a comic go up there and say some shit about me that I was like, I wasn't nice? I've been called Nazi. I've been called cracker and every other thing under the sun, every negative thing. And you can be like, well, that's right. You know, no one gives a fuck about white people. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. The point is, as a comedian, you have to have thick skin. And if you don't, you know, it's going to be tough for you. If you don't have it, it's already going to be tough. But then you add to the fact that you threw a comedian under the bus online. It's like people aren't going to want to work with you, man. And you can say people aren't going to want to work with Tony because he said a racist slur. And that's true. But again, that's where I'm like, it would have benefited both of your careers more to handle this off stage, handle this offline, and not let it turn into what it's turned into. Long story short, do not record other comedian sets and stop Asian hate. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Porn and Capitalism. Have a good weekend.